You want to know how a quiet life turns into a war zone overnight? Yeah, that happened. And I'm telling you, I never planned for any of it. Let me back up a sec. When I came back to the old family land, I wasn't hunting for trouble. 20 years in the army'll fill you up on conflict. Trust me. All I wanted was silence. The kind you only get under open sky, horses cropping grass, boots on dry dirt. That stretch of Tennessee pasture, handed down through stubborn hands for 4 generations, was my breath and my sanity. I'm Daniel Brooks. Wasn't raised a soldier or a rancher, but life has a way of nudging you back where you belong, even if it drags you. My granddad built the barn himself. My father ran the fence line, and after we laid both of them in the hillside, I came home to put things right. The land was wild from being left alone. Saplings everywhere, rust on the gates, critters squatting where they pleased, but it was mine, even if the world around it had changed. That old stone house at the North Rise caught the wind just so, and fixing up that place gave my hands something to do, kept my mind steady. But the neighborhood, man, that was a shock. Where I remembered open fields and old dirt roads, now it was all cookie-cutter houses, perfect mailboxes, vinyl siding as far as you could see. The Silver Glen HOA had popped up during the housing. Boom, their boundaries right up on my southern fence. I never signed up, never wanted in, but it didn't stop them from acting like I owed them something. At first, it was just irritating. Notes about weed compliance stuffed in my mailbox, or this lady Connie, clipboard in hand, suggesting my barn ought to be repainted neighborhood beige. I told her my barn was older than her whole development. She didn't laugh. I tried to keep to myself, mend my fences, train my horses, not let their nonsense get under my skin. Most of the board were harmless, but their president, Walter Granger, let's just say the man looked at my land like he was already drawing blueprints on it. I didn't realize how deep their roots had gotten until one Tuesday, late spring. Trucks rolled in, 3 big rigs setting up drill gear less than 50 yards from my property. No heads up, no knock on my door, just the groan of hydraulics and men in hard hats marking their turf. Connie showed up in her Navy suit, trying to sound official. Board-approved exploratory drilling, Mr. Brooks, totally legal. Maybe oil under here, good for values. You ever have one of those moments? You can feel the ground shifting under your feet, like a storm rolling in? That was it. They were drilling on land my father had sold decades back, but the spot was risky, a ridge of limestone sitting on hollow karst and water tunnels. In the Army, I'd studied ground like that. Drill too deep, and the earth will give out from under you. I tried to warn them, told them flat out it wasn't safe. But Walter just flashed his politician smile and said their experts were certified. You know that feeling when you realize someone's about to make a colossal mistake, but they don't care because it's not their home at risk? Yeah, that. So I waited and watched and planned. Because if there's one thing Army life teaches you, it's how to gather intel and never fight on someone else's terms. A few days later, they rolled in bigger rigs, workers stringing tape along the old cattle gate, setting up fences on ground I knew by heart. I'd helped my father shore up that creek bank back in 82 after a flash flood ate half our pasture. Knew every weak spot, every place the rock went soft after rain. I watched their drills bite into the earth, screaming like metal on bone. And I knew this wasn't going to end pretty. Sure enough, that night I got a letter from the HOA. Energy partnership, long-term revenue, exciting opportunity. All glossy print, signed by Walter. Meanwhile, I'm standing in my study, staring at the topo maps I'd made myself. My own drone scans, seismic data, the lot. They were drilling right over the thinnest part of the shelf. The one spot that, if it caved, would swallow a whole row of those million-dollar houses south of me. I called in a favor with an old Army buddy, Marissa, now working for the Geological Survey office. Got her to check soil samples, confidential-like. I set up wildlife cams and vibration sensors, started logging everything. I wasn't going to yell. I was going to have a paper trail so thick they'd choke on it. And meanwhile, the land started talking to me. Horses pacing, ground trembling. My old mare June Bug kicked down her stall wall. My Appaloosa Rusty refused to drink from the South Trough. You pay attention to animals, you hear things humans ignore. By Friday, I'd had enough. I marched into the HOA office, dumped my findings at the front desk, told them if a collapse happened, they'd see me in court. Walter brushed me off, told me progress, can't wait, for paranoia. I left with my jaw clenched and my stomach tight. That night, I found a crack in the south field, 3 inches wide, but deep enough my flashlight didn't find bottom. I flagged it, took photos, and went straight to the county office in the morning. Enoch, the clerk, recognized me and didn't bother pretending. This could get ugly, he said. Turns out the HOA had rushed the permit. No proper survey, just a loophole and a friendly councilwoman, Dana Holloway. Lucky for me, Dana and I had history. From National Guard days. I left her a message, flagged the crack, and kept documenting. And then the retaliation started. Violation notices, fines, intimidation. Connie showed up smiling, saying maybe I should just join the HOA, get a cut of the profits, shut up and play ball. If I signed, I'd be on the hook for their mistakes, so I told her to get off my land. They tried to drown me. In paperwork, rumors started. Unstable vet, sabotaging the HOA. Walter claimed the vibrations were my fault, blamed my old well. All the while, I kept stacking evidence, mailed a copy of everything to another Army friend at the Department of Natural Resources, just in case. What really broke the game open was the mineral rights. The HOA didn't actually own the rights to extract, just to explore, and only after environmental review. Their permit was junk. I handed everything to Dana, who said she'd push it to compliance, but warned me I'd need impact, not just data. So I called the best geologist I knew, Dr. Everett Toller, a legend in the field and a man who owed me his life from Kandahar. He drove out, spent 2 days mapping stress lines, taking cores, setting up sensors. When he was done, he told me straight. They drilled into a void, big as a house. If it collapses, it'll take half the cul-de-sac with it. He filed an emergency injunction, and I made sure everyone saw his name on it. Still, the HOA doubled down, Walter on TV, Connie doing damage control, residents whispering, until one night the ground finally answered for us. Just past 2 a.m., the earth groaned like a wounded animal, then exploded in a roar. I raced outside, flashlight in hand, and saw it. A crater, wide as a pool and 3 stories deep. Swallowing the rigs, the southern fence, and 2 houses. Sirens, flashlights, neighbors stumbling out in pajamas, Connie slack-jawed, Walter screaming that it was my fault, all of them facing what they'd ignored. Everett stood beside me, with his GoPro still running, dead calm. You drilled into a karst void, he told them. Now nature's collecting. By sunrise, state officials had fenced the crater, condemned 3 homes, and the story blew up. Media, choppers, headlines. Suddenly, I wasn't the crazy vet. I was the man who tried to warn them. The board collapsed, Walter and Connie resigned. A full audit exposed dinners and bribes and fake reports. The new HOA board opened the books, dissolved the charter, and for the first time, the neighborhood looked at me not with fear, but with respect, awkward, but honest. And just when you think it's over, the lawsuits start. HOA blaming me, calling my soil flags incitement, my cameras surveillance. My lawyer, Marion Ellis, sharp as a tack, cut them to pieces in court. Everett testified. The judge tossed the case out with prejudice. The truth echoed. If I hadn't fought, we could have lost lives, not just property. In the end, what changed? Not just the land. The people. Apologies started coming in, awkward, stammering, real. I opened my pasture as a quiet sanctuary. No signs, no fees, just neighbors and families needing a place to breathe again. Kids with autism, vets, old-timers, even a widow who needed the company of horses. That wound in the ground became a marker of the cost of ignoring what matters and the power of standing your ground. The board rewrote the rules. Dana pushed for new laws, named after me and Everett, which still makes me shake my head. The land healed. I healed too. A little. I met a woman, Karen, who helped turn the pasture into a sanctuary, showed me how cracks can let in the light if you're patient enough. And the old feud? Well, it never really ends. Some folks'll always chase power, and some wounds never fill in all the way. But the earth doesn't lie, and neither do I. So here's my ask. If you watched all the way through, drop a comment below. Where do you stand? HOA or homeowner, profit or protection? Ever seen a community torn up by arrogance and saved by stubborn truth? Let's hear your story. Like, share, and subscribe if you believe. Land remembers, and so do the people willing to listen.